Selectmen today, June 22nd is called to order. Sorry, Michael.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 8th.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion, we approve the non-public meeting minutes, number 1 and number 2 of June 8th.
Second. Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I just added one intent to cut that came in today, or intent to excavate. So that was on the top there.
Do we have anybody online?
We do have one person online. We obviously have a nice group assembled, which is a pleasant surprise. So if anyone would like to speak to anything either on the agenda or otherwise, you're welcome to do that now.
5 minutes of public input.
Otherwise, we'll have to have Joe DeRusso tell police stories, and that'll take a while.
All right, no public input. Chief, you're up.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to have this ceremony here today. Pinning ceremony is a long tradition in police service. Generally, there's 2 occasions where we have pinning ceremonies. One would be when we introduce a new police officer to the department, and the second is a promotion, which we're doing today. Today, we're promoting Nick Paquin. He's demonstrated to be an important part of our team. He's a devoted police officer, committed to responsibilities and duties, and he demonstrated his professional dedication to his career. So we're very very pleased to have him on board. And today we bring him on as part of our leadership team at the Swansea Police Department. So if you can step up, I'll give you the office. Raise your right hand. I state your name.
Nicholas Beckham.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all the duties
discharge and perform all the duties
incumbent upon me as a full-time sergeant,
incumbent on me as full-time sergeant,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of New Hampshire.
of the state of New Hampshire.
Thank you. So I have a badge here. Stand over here. This badge is a symbol of authority. It's also a symbol of dedication, trust, integrity. It's also a symbol of safety. Generally, in the ceremonies, we have a family member pin the badge on the officer. Officers in this career have a difficult time dealing with many things that they encounter. And we need support of our family members in order to do this. So that's why we have a family member basically in the badge there. So I believe Rachel, Nick's wife. You said I don't know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll come meet you.
Sorry, when I moved over, the lighting wasn't. Thank you.
Guarantee you got better pictures than I did.
I wasn't prepared. Oh, that's right.
What's that? Yeah, I don't see why not.
I didn't.
For the rest of you?
No, it's fine with me. Last time.
Fuck my life.
Okay. That's what she told me.
Alex, Mike, nice meeting you.
Next on our agenda is Christopher and Ann Hamilton, a request to construct a residence on the Class 6 portion of Talbot Hill Road. Come on up, tell us what you want to do.
We received the variance and the blessing from the planning board. Now we're 4 years to see if you were granted or not.
Okay, can you give us a little background from what you've experienced with in terms of more specifics of what your plan is?
Single family dwelling, 300 feet of the Class 6 portion of Talbot Hill Road off East Shore Road.
Okay, all right. Sly, do you have any questions? Comments? Ken?
Is there a plan as far as what you're proposing for the road? The Class 6 road, as far as bringing it up to spec and maintaining it? And is there anything in
Reasonable
writing?
and safe.
We have been told and we understand that it would be not town maintained, of course, being Class 6, that we would be responsible for the maintenance of it. We've been told that.
Maybe Mr. Caruso could help us out with that.
Yes, I previously discussed, and I passed on to the planning board, you saw my notes. So in order to upgrade a Class 6 road or to utilize that Class 6 road by law, it's either the select board or the road agent that gives approval for that. And in order, I would recommend to the board that in order to have that section of road used as a driveway for building on that property, at a bare minimum, I would recommend that it need full engineering and it have to be built to Class 5 specs, and possibly paving of the hill because of how steep it is, depending on what the engineer's report comes back for drainage. One of the unique things about over in that area, we're dealing with it quite frequently right now, with all recent flooding and rains. Swansea Lake's kind of like a funnel, and everything around it is a hillside and everything comes down. So one of the concerns I have about utilizing that section of road is how it's going to impact the homes down below and the flooding issues we already have over there. So my recommendation to the board, if it was going to be authorized, it would have to be done in that fashion.
Okay, I said, is that all right, Sly? Yeah. All right. Is your purchase and sales agreement contingent on the board's approval?
Yes.
Is it contingent on the receipt of a building permit?
Yes.
Okay, so well, I've read the minutes from the zoning board and also the planning board. As you know, I had the opportunity to sit on both boards and chose not to because of being on the select board. I'm not going to judge what the boards did, but the boards were of the knowledge that the Board of Selectmen previously, under the administration of Beth Fox, had indicated to both boards that the town does not support building on the Class 6 portion. And both boards, for whatever reason, chose to ignore that. So from my perspective, it's either a no in keeping with what our town ordinance is, or looking at it from the standpoint of what would be, if we were to grant it, how would it benefit the town? And to grant a 300-foot driveway does not seem to me to be of any benefit to the town, although it does benefit you. We've talked anecdotally over the years with regard to utilizing some of the Class 6 roads and approaching the planning board to consider development on those roads, which would mean bringing them up to Class 5 status or better. So my next question is, have you talked with the civil engineer to gain a sense of the scope of the project and the cost that would be incurred to do the minimal amount that Joe has indicated?
We've spoken briefly, but nothing real in depth.
Right,
And
so
we haven't
you're,
gotten, no, excuse me, sorry, but we haven't really even gotten, we would want it the specs too, because nobody's literally, we would want a printout of what the specs really have been, what the specs are, what the specs have been in previous class 6 builds.
there haven't been any, because
But we would want.
in the
we don't
past-
really laid it out straight exactly.
yeah, in the past, when construction's been allowed on a class 6 road, it's been an infill situation where there's already homes on the property, I mean, on the road. And this doesn't, those approvals don't necessarily extend, but they're within the framework of what's existing. Or in the case of Prescott's, their access to their land was directly from class 5 status and just a short way into their property. So what I would propose, and I don't know whether the board would agree with me or not, is that you bring the class 6 portion from East Shore Road, the full length of your property, to class 5 status with underground utilities, the appropriate culverts and retention ponds, and that you be required to post a bond that would protect the town from any runoff that could occur. And that would all be a negotiation that you would have with Mr. DeRusso. My understanding of the cost of that, and it's not cast in stone, but it's roughly $400 a foot to do that. The last development that I was involved in, we were $250 a foot, and obviously expenses and costs have gone up from there. And my reasoning is that by extending or by bringing that portion of the class 6 road up to class 5 status, it begins the process of further development on Talbot Hill Road, so that the next property owner would then have an opportunity to do the same thing on their property, which would make the property developable. And I'm hopeful that the planning board will work with the planning director to put in a system whereby we can take a look at some of the class 6 roads. My basis for asking you to do that is that when we approved Owens Drive, which are the condos up off of California Street, the then town attorney, Sam Bradley, strongly recommended that the boards require that the roads be put into to class 5 status, should there ever be an opportunity for the residents to petition the town to take the road over. You would then have the same opportunity if additional development occurred along Talbot Hill Road. There would be the opportunity to petition the town to take that over at some point, and the town might be of a mind to do so because it will have been built to town specs. So for me, it's either a no or a yes, with the understanding that the civil engineer will be engaged, as Director DeRusso has indicated, and that the Talbot Hill Road for the length of your property be brought up to class 5 status with underground utilities.
Almost the whole road.
Right, the property is what, 1,000?
It's about 1,100 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus the distance from your property to East Shore Road. Because you don't directly connect to East Shore Road. So
So we
that'd
would
be-
have to bring it to a class 5 status, even though class 5 status usually is maintained by the town. It would go to the class 5 status, but we would still be responsible, even though it's classified as class 5. I know that's a lot of back and
Yeah.
forth, but it kind of is a hard understanding where, we would be utilizing approximately 300 feet of it, but we have to maintain in the assumption that someday it could go through, but there's also the assumption on the other side of it that it may not ever turn into the class 5 road and all the way through back to you guys for maintenance.
right. Again, that's just me.
No, I know, I wanted to make sure that we were
I
understanding
think,
that.
the main concern there's two concerns I personally have. One is we'd be changing the policy. The second is that we have an obligation to the residents who live on East Shore Road, and we have an obligation that would be directly impacted by development. And we also have an obligation to do what we can to preserve the water quality of the lake. And so that if development is to occur on that hillside, as Director DeRusso has indicated, it's going to have the potential to increase runoff and potential pollution of the lake. So by having the proper culverts and retention ponds in place, my hope is that that water would be allowed to dissipate on the Talbot Hill side of East Shore Road and not have an impact on East Shore Road, potentially washing it out and then going into the lake. So again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of what's in the town's best interest, and how at the same time can you have the opportunity to do what you're asking.
What we based this upon is the other end of Talbot Hill, Prescott's. Were they made to
Upgrade.
the whole length of their property?
I'm not aware. I don't know. I don't have that in
No,
front
I
of
don't
me.
think so. The
but-
difference was they had access, they just didn't have sufficient frontage. And that wasn't something that came before this board. Actually, they initially came before this board asking for the town to lay out a circle to give them sufficient frontage, which we were not in favor of. So then it went back to the zoning board and they got the variance similar, but in a different situation from yours. But they had access, just not sufficient frontage to meet our zoning ordinance.
Did it access meaning not using the class 6 because wasn't their access same as us, class 6?
I don't think that's, I believe their access is off the class 5 portion. They just didn't have sufficient road frontage.
If you read it,
I disagree.
yeah.
I wasn't here with that process, but I can speak that it's completely different. That area that they used, that road access driver, is a lot shorter. I didn't have anything to do with the approval or that process. I wasn't in the position then, but a lot shorter, a lot flatter piece of area that has no impact with the lake and so forth. So it's completely different. And I do, like if a logging operation, I know in the past, they let logging operation go in, like if a logging operation wanted to go in and log in there right now, I would not give them authorization to use that road. We've had a lot of problems in that area over the last 2 years, just the lake in general. So as steep as that hill is, it's completely different as far as the road construction goes, from that end of Talbot Hill to the end down on East Shore Road.
In that, sit-
You had mentioned in there that you would also possibly looking at having it paved. I kind of,
If the engineer, depending on what the engineer says, that's not out of the realm of possibilities, depending on what the engineer said.
I mean, I get every circumstance is different, but what other class 6 road in this town, or probably for a lot of towns for that matter, have ever been paved? I mean, there's how many Christian Hill, Greenleaf Road in town? Those
Due to
are
the-
class
due to-
5 status, and those aren't even paved, so.
Like
I just-
I indicated, due to the slope of the road, if the engineers felt that that was best to help with the erosion, that's what I wanted. I'm not an engineer, but that's one of the things we would look at in a situation like that. Like I explained to you before on the phone, Oliver Hill Road, class 6 road, I felt bad for the people. They lost the road in those last storms, and somebody has a medical condition up there, and they were concerned about getting an ambulance up there. There was nothing we could do for them in the town by law. Thousands and thousands of dollars, and FEMA wouldn't help them with any reimbursement. So that was eye-opening for me through that whole process. And like I said, it's similar in slope to that section of road. So not saying I would definitively say it had to be paved, but if the engineers felt that it was best for it to be paved to help with erosion, then that's the direction I would go in.
in the case of Prescott's and reading the minutes for that one, the then chief or director of DPW was strongly in favor of it because it improved snow storage at that end of Talbot Hill Road. There was, and I guess it improved
The hammerhead.
the hammerhead,
Turning around the
right,
truck.
for the fire trucks and all of that. So we had department heads that were in favor of that project. Because again, it benefited the town and it benefited that end of Talbot Hill Road. So we're looking at it from that perspective. My recommendation would be for paving, simply because I don't believe in the addition of gravel roads to the town. We have enough trouble with the ones that we do have. And as the director mentioned, paving would certainly help with erosion factors. So again, I'm looking at it from the perspective of how does the town benefit along with you. And again, just one vote.
I think we look at it as the benefit would be like I think it was the May, or it's through the ZBA, your recommendation got sent in.
Not with the CBA, but
What's that?
I'm not with the CBA.
I'm sorry,
not
putting
planning.
behind you to Mr. DeRusso. But the recommendation and then the complaints for, I think it was Brown Ave, East Shore Road, there's already complaints, but again, because it's class 6, we understand that you guys can't do anything, like you just stated for Oliver Hill, there's nothing you guys can do. So if we didn't build up there, the erosion's not gonna reverse itself, it's gonna keep on happening. Or if we reasonably are able to upgrade it, that would be the benefit to the town. But if we don't upgrade it, the next person, if we didn't buy it, the next person didn't upgrade it, it's only just gonna keep on washing out probably, or whatever damage you're getting reports of. So that's where our side of where we felt that it did help the town, not just us.
And I agree, if it's brought up to class 5 status and paved, I agree that it would be a benefit to the town. But in the long-term projection for the town, where it benefits is if the entire property line, which you border on class 6, would be brought up to that status. Again, it's just my opinion.
No, I don't think we just, doesn't really seem like a reasonable, like whether it's 10, the lot we're looking at, 10-1's the next one, it just doesn't seem like you can really have reasonable use, the owners of these properties, where you're gonna have to spend some buco bucks to pave 1,000, 1,100 feet. It kind of seems a little unreasonable when you have plenty of class 5 status roads maintained by the town that aren't made to be brought up to, if that's the standard, if that's the status, class 5, then why isn't every single road in town paved?
Cost.
Money.
Well, right,
We're slowly trying to diminish the amount of dirt roads we have for them. There's about 11 miles of dirt road, and we're slowly trying to whittle that down. And just as far as the cost, the pavement on a project like that could be the least amount. When you start talking about taking a lot of those trees on the right-hand side of that would have to be taken down to fix the slope on the side of the road. So the asphalt may be not all that much compared to some of the other heavy excavation.
What's your pleasure?
Without a plan, I don't see where I could support it. You know, I'd like to see what's offered.
Okay.
I concur.
Okay, so the decision by the board is to ask you to bring us a plan that's been stamped by a civil engineer in coordination with Director DeRusso, so that we have an understanding of what it is that you're proposing. Go with the 300 feet. We may ask for more, but go for what you're proposing, so that we know exactly what it is that we're making a decision on.
is there an actual checklist as far as what class 5 status is gonna be, so we don't have to keep on coming back and forth of what we think would need to be done? I understand it does need to be looked at by an engineer, but
When you engage with the civil engineer, they'll be in contact with Director DeRusso, and we'll put together a scope of work that will give you an understanding of what's required. And every town's different, but the civil engineers that work in this market, they know what the town regs are.
Good.
All right, thanks. Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am. Oh, Amy,
Yes.
how are you? Did you get my voicemail?
I did.
Okay.
What is
Was I
that?
right or was I wrong?
I don't remember.
Don't tell them.
What is the benefit of underground power?
It would, from the standpoint of further development along the road, it just seems, again, this is just my opinion. It just seems that for future development, when there's a possibility in this particular case, it could end up being multiple lots by you all. You could have the lion's share of it and sell off lots to make it a more economical development for you, or purchase for you. To have the underground utilities, it just seems to be the way that communities are going to maintain the power during outages and all that. So it's not a requirement of class 5 status by any means. It's just a personal opinion.
It's a lot less susceptible to local storms and inclement weather, a lot safer to have them on the ground. You don't have trees to contain with and overhead, and windstorms basically has no impact on it.
so we said that isn't a requirement, that would just be opinion wise.
It's not a requirement to bring it up to class 5 status. And in terms of talking with the utility companies, if there might be offsetting costs that makes it better for you anyway, to run them underground, just as the director mentioned. It's not cheap to run a pole. I'd actually be more than a pole. Anyone else? Thanks.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, solid waste manager Josh Whipple with the solid waste hauling contract that he's worked so diligently on for almost a year.
Long process.
How many gallons can you fit in that bottle?
He's got a pen in the pocket, not a short
Yeah,
pencil.
for sure.
We're in trouble.
Yeah, we're definitely in trouble.
So in the packet insertion I gave Mike, it's a layout of like a slimmed down layout. Research all the way back to the 80s on this. Just comparing stuff and seeing what the rates were going back. Last September, we had a proposal for a 3-year contract. And then June this year, 3-year, and then June 14th, the follow-up. And really not a whole big difference on it all. The biggest difference was trucking for everything. And the rates went up a little bit, but in this market, it kind of fits into everything. So I think some options that we could do to help improve that. A few of the things was talked about disposal per ton. Disposal per ton, and said there's a slim margin of.
Go ahead, Josh. Take advantage.
Take a poke.
Been running around all day.
I think it's pretty incredible that our tonnage is less than it was in 2003. That shows the diligence of you
Slowly
guys promoting
recycling.
recycling and
Yeah, so that's kind of the end goal of this, because I don't think we're really gonna get much better price wise. And I got quotes from NRA on certain items, and their trucking was a lot higher. It was almost 300 a trip. Compared to Waste Management's 190, 199, and 209. And that was kind of the kicker why I wish I did the September offer, because tonnage was about the same, but trucking was a increase, not foreseeing the economic impact on everything. So that was the biggest change I saw. And so I've been doing some research into stuff that we could do to help offset some of this, and that'll be the disposal fee update. I'll tie that in later, but so I met with Michael a couple weeks ago, and we did discuss the contract, and I was able to talk to Roy Boyer, the sales rep, about the tonnage weight. He was able to drop $1 per ton for the second and third year of the contract, so it's about 2,400 to 2,500 per year that we saved with just that little drop in pricing. So I think that's pretty good. But I think my main goal is really going to be hitting the recycling more and cutting that down. And rate wise, I think we'll be able to offset that more with the more recycling we can take out of the waste stream, the more items we can take out. And that kind of ties in with the update, because just for giggles, I went through to see what we were doing for, say, furniture. So I did 2018, 2019, 2020, and 21. And each year we did about 280 to 300 mattresses. Items such as rugs, couches, recliners, that was 400 to 550 items. So little items like that where we could offset it, and the pricing will help push it forward. And then I was also looking into permits, just updating them, so we can really weed out people who still have a permit on their car and just drives by, so we can really kind of track who's coming through. So I think overall the proposal from Waste Management that he just sent the 14th, I think that's going to be our best bet to go with right now. And the contract would end July 30th and go into effect August 1st for a 3-year span. Originally I wanted a 5-year, but I think the 3 years is a good option for this. That way we can ride through and see if there's a better opportunities coming out of this, or more items that we can get out of the waste stream coming down the road, such as food waste, stuff like that. That's a major contributor to landfills. So so that would be my recommendation on that for the proposed contract extension. And I just talked to Roy before this, and he said that upon approval, he could get a new one made up with the $1 off per ton rates, and then we can move forward with that and sign off and get it rolling. So not let it go into effect till August 1st. So get what I can out of there and try and save what we can, make it through the end of the year. And budget wise, even with the increases, I think we'll be in good shape. We're actually just below average right now for this time of year, so that's been really helpful, and just picking through and making sure that the right people are coming through, doing the right stuff. And we've had a couple issues with people just not recycling, but little stuff, so we've been able to either direct them on what to do or just limit what they're able to do at the facility. So that's been helpful with keeping that down. So yeah, that would be my recommendation, is this extension. Go with that.
Don't beat yourself up about waiting. Last time the longer we waited,
I
the
know.
better the deal got in this year.
And I was talking to him, he said, if we were to go out to RFP, it would go up minimum 20%, not knowing where it is. And the one catch to this one is that there is a fuel surcharge over $4 a gallon. Again, expected, and wish I did that September one, but I was hoping for better rates, but kind of,
It's a flip of the coin.
yeah. So
And even though we didn't do an RFP, you price shopped with NRA, right?
yeah, yep, I compared NRA, talked to a couple of other different towns, and can't remember, it was a Lakes Region facility, but they've had a long-term contract and they're in the 80s, but that's a 1 in a million in this market right now. So never know down the road. Hopefully my bet's food waste. I think that's going to be the biggest thing to get out of there and start either composting or sending out to another facility to process it. So
Buy some goats and feed them.
yeah. Not a bad idea.
On the stickers, Chesterfield a couple of years ago, are changing the color of the stickers every 2 years. I know there's a cost to get new stickers, but.
Benefits, yeah. Yeah, because I think those Supreme stickers have been around for a lot longer than I've been there.
Oh, I've got vehicles that are driven by people I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Green stickers on them.
So I think that's gonna be one of the bigger things, is being able to control the actual residents using the facility. And again, once I get into the drop-off fees, that'll all kind of tie in and help make sense with it.
Can you implement a change in color this year, since you're gonna be checking people anyway? Could you be doing it simultaneously?
Yeah, because we had talked about, because I think the drop-off fees needs a public hearing. And then I was gonna shoot to put that into effect with the contract on August 1st, so I could order up some stickers and slowly work it through and get residents caught up on them and stuff like that. So
Is there ever been a charge for stickers?
no,
Has there ever been a charge for stickers?
Some towns do charge.
I'm just curious, if one do like, I mean, even a minimal of $10 like every year, that way you almost cover the cost of
Something.
producing a new color. And I mean, really, that is minimal
Yeah.
to throw your trash away for a whole year.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
also that too.
No,
People probably won't be happy, but.
yeah. Yeah,
That's what people's trash and pets, you're in trouble.
yeah. So. Yeah, I think
See if that
that.
comes up at the public hearing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so.
Is there any savings to be had by owning our own compactors and not having to monthly rent?
The compactors, maybe the boxes might be beneficial, but I think we'd still get a rental fee for the head units of them. And those I don't think would be worth buying, and if something would go wrong with them, or we
I think we priced that out last time.
yeah, and it was pretty close, and they ended up just switching out a new one for us.
Hmm.
Because I don't know how it happened, but one of the cylinders sheared in half. It's like a 5-inch cylinder. It's pretty big and sheared completely in half, and the whole unit had to be pulled apart. And I can only imagine what that would have cost us. So, but the boxes themselves, that could definitely be something to look into. And they actually just gave us 3 new construction bins as part of the contract, so that worked out well.
And my other questions about those dairy containers, I don't know if they're 5s and 7s, plastics that you guys don't take.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any market for any of that stuff? Because there's so many of them.
Probably right now there is a market for it. Pricing for plastics and recycling in general is way up right now. Because they do have a market for number 1s through 7s, so it could all be mixed together. We just shipped a load of plastic for number 1 plastics for 35 cents a pound, and then number 2s for 29 cents a pound. And then the 1 through 7s all mixed, I think, is 4 or 5 cents a pound. So, but we would be saving on the disposal cost of it, yeah. I just wouldn't want to confuse people too much.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
you see people, they look at them, they say no, they take it over to the compactors.
Yeah, because I mean, with the facility improvements, we would have the excess windows.
Right.
So we could do number 1, number 2, and then 3 through 7. So all plastics would be pulled out, and I think that would be ideally one of the things down the road where we could expand to it and accept different types of recyclables and grades of everything. So there's definitely a lot of stuff we could switch around and try and boost profits and decrease disposals, the biggest thing. So
There's colored ones that can't be recycled either
those could probably be put in
with the
That's the Dasani models.
in the
There was a time Dasani's couldn't go, and I
Oh,
think they
yeah.
can now, right?
those
The
the tiki
bottles.
ones, the tiki fluid ones. Those are the darker non-translucent ones. Those ones are considered trash to our vendor, but I'm sure they would be able to be put in with those. So just grind them all down and melt them.
Is there an opportunity with food waste to encourage recycling through selling some form of barrel or whatever? I don't
Pig
know.
food,
What's it
Yeah.
called?
pig food or something, that food
Yeah.
waste for farm animals.
Yeah. Because New Hampshire is starting to work on making it part of your permit so you can do it on site. And I think that ideally would be the easier thing, but also people just doing it at their house would also be helpful. And that's kind of been my experiment with the pumpkins and sunflower seeds, just to prove you can grow stuff with it. And they're growing like wildfire now, so just nothing but compost, haven't touched it, just laid the bed down and it's growing
Nice.
great. So I even have 4 or 5 pumpkins that look even better growing in the pile that I didn't even plant there.
Right, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve the contract,
For 3 years.
3 years, waste management.
Second.
I move to authorize the solid waste manager to enter into a 3-year contract.
Power.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good job, you guys.
There's just
You
more
got it.
support.
He helped me a lot. So the next part's just kind of get your thoughts on the disposal fees. As I was saying, the 200 to 300 mattresses per year. The biggest struggle is eyeballing construction debris without a scale. But what I bumped it up to is on par to a little under some towns, a little over some towns. And I broke it down a little extra to kind of space it out so it's not $5, something like that. So it'll go a quarter pickup truck would be 20, then it would go up from there 40, 60, 75 for a full truck, and then 1 ton's 150 per load compared to 120. So it would help cover some of the costs on the back end of that. So I showed the changes on the original one, and then the proposed one, I broke down some more items that we don't see a whole lot, but that way it's there and staff and residents can see it, how it should be. Items like, currently we do mattresses, 10 for the first mattress and 20 for every other mattress in the same month, but instead I broke it down to crib mattresses, no charge. Twin to queen, $20 a piece, no limit. And then king mattresses, 25 a piece. And that would just help cut down, again, with the permits and this, people coming from Keene, or I know Chesterfield has a pretty high disposal rate for certain items, and
Can't trust them.
yeah. But other than that, I did a comparison of the more than I put on the list, but I have whole folder dedicated to just that. So I've got all the different towns comparing rates. I've got the backup vendor information of what we get charged, and try to keep it as fair as possible. That way we're not finding more trash on the side of the roads because somebody doesn't want to pay for it. But same point, we've got to bump some things up to cover some of the costs at least. Like hot tubs, we get maybe 1 or 2 a year, but some people say 75 bucks or 100. And so I just set it at a flat rate of $130 each. And then boats, again, we don't get those very often. That's one of those things that I want to keep it regular and across the board the same. And then the other big thing that I put in here was for contractors and landscapers, and that was to cover brush and compost loads, because it takes time. We've got to push the material up. We have to maintain it over the year, especially brush. We've been getting overwhelmed with that this year. So, and that's one of the things I've noticed is a lot of it's contractors, and we do our best to check where they're coming from, but without verification, they can say they're coming from up the road. And so basically somebody coming from Keene, because we're free compared to dropping off there at a facility where you do get charged for it, I think that'll help eliminate quite a bit of that. And I also added in some of the free services we do. Stressing recycling is mandatory. Waste oil, hydraulic oil, and antifreeze disposal, and wood chips and compost with hazardous waste information. And I may have to change the green permit thing at the bottom, but just something to kind of lay it all out so it's clear. And same thing for residents as is staff. And then I plan on putting fact sheets and recycling information on the back of it, and then probably getting good copies of it so it can be handed out and give residents a little bit of time to see it and get used to the pricing, and so it's not a shock. Will be for a little bit, but
Well, when you do the new sticker, you'll be seeing everybody.
yeah, so I'm hand that right with it. So I was thinking of even getting some to leave at the town clerk's office.
Yeah, because they give out the stickers too, right?
Yeah, it's like a good cardstock paper for now, and then down the road I'll just go regular paper button up where people can hang the new one up on the fridge or something, and or keep it in the vehicle for when they come through. So there really wasn't too much jump in pricing. Couches, mattresses, tires, and the hot tub and boats were the biggest increases. Other than that, all the electronics were good on. Added in flat screens because we're seeing more of those now. We're not getting the big bulky ones anymore. So I think that'll be my plan down the road, is to update it again, whether when we're just getting all flat screen TVs or smaller electronics like that, where we can go with the market and not overcharge for something. But at the same point, if we have to upcharge, we can upcharge, because it's kind of hard to say which way that market's going to go in the future. Any questions on that? Or?
Supportive of trying to cover our costs with user fees.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty thorough report when I went through it.
It was a lot, and I chopped down quite a bit, which just says, so I don't want to make it too overwhelming. But yeah, and I'll set up a date.
Get the public hearing scheduled. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna set the July schedule, so
Okay, perfect.
run a couple dates by.
Just at the bottom, put in, because of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah. blame on that. Yeah, Nick did a good chunk of this with me too, comparing and working with Georgie and all them, so. Had a couple eyes on it to help out.
Do you need a motion?
Consensus.
Consensus to move forward.
I would be
Public
put that on,
I
yeah.
don't blame
So if
them.
you get some stickers, we can do
Just
the
the
window.
final ones for one.
The metal ring.
Yeah, because people say, like, you know, I don't blame them.
Actually, be
Josh, you all set?
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
much.
We're fully supported. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably.
Jenna, do you have something?
No, I'm here for the
Find
next.
out tomorrow.
For what?
I'm here for the next
It's like a-
agenda item.
And to take adulation for how well we did on municipal, which needs a round of applause. Or an angel.
Yeah. Good
I don't really have much to do with it. I answered a lot of questions.
night.
Thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Josh.
Good for getting anything involved.
I'll get you.
That wasn't my doing. That's all I
That was
know.
earnest interest.
Friday then.
Yeah, I'll stop by. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Alex Stradling, Falls Area Community Television Public Access TV. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Welcome.
Camera for you guys.
Don't worry, you're safe.
Okay.
Because we don't have someone manning it.
Manning it,
you know, it's
yes.
just stable, so. So Alex is here, his entity has been, I believe, contracted, right, with the city of Keene, or not yet?
Yes, the city of Green Keene has approved to work with us to be able to provide public access for the public access channel, not the government channel, just the public access portion. And what we are going to be doing is reopening the station that they had over at the library. And we're going to be scheduling and producing programming out of that facility. And then also, in addition to that, you know, sort of reaching out to the community, that here's the new public access station, Falls Area Community Television. We're here and to be able to sort of reach out to community members and see what are the needs are for filming community events, you know, go to the school, like, you know, are you filming? So that's what we're going to be doing in Keene. And then they had recommended to see if, because Swansea, you were part of Cheshire TV, they had recommended to contact Swansea to see if this was something that you would be interested in partaking in and sort of getting back in to sort of help fund public access, but your needs are a little bit different. Did they get the Keene proposal?
Yes, yep, they had it.
So that's the proposal I sent for Keene to sort of get that station up, but you, I mean, I would do a separate proposal to you guys because you have, you know, different needs that you want to, especially for you know, if you want to take care of government meetings, right? We could handle all of that, you know, within the charge. They won't have to upload anything. We'll upload it to your website. We'll upload it to our website. We'll get that all taken care of. And we can assign someone to cover the meeting. So you have one person that you know that you can work with to be able to cover the meetings. So that would be the difference with your proposals that we would have. You know, we would make sure that we take care of all of those, you know, covering all, you know, your government meetings within the proposal. And the other thing too is, you know, you'd be contributing to, you know, public access to the wider area, to Keene for residents. Now I know, like you said, people are clamoring to come in and do a public access television show. And normally, yeah, you're gonna get a small percentage of people that are actually going to utilize it, you know, unless you have an outreach coordinator that goes out and works with kids. I mean, that's how I got started in public access, was in high school. The station that I run now started up in our high school. And, you know, we started doing videos as a teenager, and it sparked my interest, and I moved to LA and went to school out there and worked in the biz, and then came back here and went, you know, decided to, you know, be a part of public access.
Classic boomerang, right?
Yes, the classic boomerang. And so, yeah, you know, it's a valuable utility for folks. A lot of people that we serve now in our community are folks, you know, with limited means or funds. They have access and training, you know, to equipment that, you know, if they didn't have the funds, they wouldn't. We help a lot of community organizations, just maybe just consulting, you know, phone call or like, hey, you know, how would I shoot this event, and so on and so forth. And then we cover a lot of community events, you know, like the Chamber of Commerce might have an event, a promotional event. the church down the road, may have a nice barbecue or event that they want to cover. So there's a lot of events that we cover. So that's the biggest thing for town of Swansea. You might get a small percentage of people actually coming into the station and utilizing the equipment. But our goal is, especially in Keene, is to do what we do in our area, is basically do a lot of outreach coordination, be able to, hook, if Swansea contributes to public access again, the whole idea is, we have someone, an outreach coordinator who knows, comes in here, knows the building, knows what organizations that operate in Swansea, gets on the phone, calls people, hey, do you have an event coming up? Might be something that you might want to cover, so those type of things, what do you guys do for 4th of July? Do you have a parade? What is the chamber? What kind of business promotion or kind of community events do you have here in Swansea? And those were the things that we would be covering, making sure we cover. If you contribute, towards public access in this area.
So before we got too much further down the road,
Yeah.
I drew up a specific proposal. I said, I want you to come in and talk to the
Yeah.
board. I explained kind of what we've been doing in terms of over Zoom projecting, and then also kind of recording, putting them on the town's YouTube channel and linking through the website, which Jenna currently manages. So just wanted to kind of get the board's flavor. That is something we did leave. I didn't have the number when we spoke, but we still have 15,000 budgeted potential for public access. So we don't have the, I think you said 20 to 25. So that's what we might be able to put forward, put something the board's interested in pursuing.
Yeah.
So initial thoughts, questions?
Is Marlboro being contacted also?
I'll contact them. Yeah.
Because I think
Actually,
it was the three of us, right?
Yes.
Marlboro, Swansea.
Yes.
yeah, they're-
Keene.
There was a problem with Marlboro.
so just a little background. The reality for me is we're not making any money. The intention for me is, as an executive director, I had no idea that this had happened with Cheshire TV. And then someone just threw a piece of paper, a newspaper on my desk and said, hey, your public access station, you should hit them up. And nobody had hit them up for months. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, we could do it. We could do it. We're not going to make money off it, but we could figure out a way where we could, get it back up and running. I have the skill, we have the experience. And so that the back end stuff, with the server, the ability to be able to schedule programming and so on and so forth. So that's how this motivation came into being. So, and for me, it is kind of exciting to get something started up again, try to get it work in the area. But Marlboro is, we will be sort of contacting them and see where they're at. For me, it's kind of, I talked to Michael, it was kind of to see where the select board is at, whether or not they had an ear to what how the community feels about it, kind of field questions from you guys to kind of understand what your perspective is. Maybe I can answer some things for you. That's sort of the goal for me today, is to kind of hear from you guys and to kind of hear what your perspective is. And it might be something that I can address.
Well, I think the access to our meetings would be beneficial to us and the people of the town.
Okay.
Production level is very low.
Right. I mean, we do Zoom, but hopefully this would be a step up, especially for people that aren't computer savvy. So
yeah, I can usually connect a camera guy and connect the line into his laptop, or he can manage the Zoom. It just depends on whatever option you want. Or I could bring in an automated owl system with a mic. So it just depends on the space of the room. I mean, it's really, that's kind of what we're here for, is to help with those, with the help of those technical things and kind of figure out the best options, the cheapest, best, most efficient options for folks, and to provide somebody there to be that point person for any questions or to troubleshoot, so on and so forth. So
How about streaming?
streaming, yeah.
You're gonna do some streaming?
Yep. So currently we stream all of our government meetings live on, we have Facebook, social media, and so on and so forth. We could do live on cable through here. So, but that's up to you. I mean, but we can stream any content.
Well, the basic problem is the public access channel is only available through Time Warner, correct?
So New Hampshire's, it's Spectrum now. I think it's
Oh,
Spectrum
okay,
now.
Okay, Spectrum.
What we do is we stream all of our meetings live currently with this, we service Bellas Falls, Westminster, Athens, Grassland. All those meetings get streamed out live either on our YouTube page, or we could, if you guys had your own YouTube page, we could stream it live directly out to your YouTube page. If you had your own Facebook page, we could stream it live out there. We could stream it out to all those pages at once. We have a social media service where we can take all those accounts and click one button and it blasts out to all of those different social media accounts. So that, not a problem,
Okay,
you know,
all right.
And through the public access channel?
and through the public access channel.
You might have said that, but.
Yeah, we can, with one button, we can send it out to all those different providers, so.
Now, you would come in with your own people?
Oh, yeah, so what's going to happen is I mean, currently, our current service area, I have three employees and a bunch of freelancers. So the budget that I'm proposing to Keene and, you know, with a different proposal is what we're going to have is 2 folks over at the Keene location. One will be an outreach coordinator, one will be the station manager. And then we'll find somebody, or if you have someone to recommend that we would pay, you'd work with the outreach coordinator, that would be your person, you know, to cover Swansea meetings, you know what I mean? So that they know the equipment, they know you guys, they know Michael, they know the space, and they can, you know, that's the person that's covering the meetings. So that's the idea. And then that would be a freelance person and they get, you know, get paid per job, but we would handle all that. That would just be included within, you know, within whatever contract that we come up with. But we would find someone. If you had someone, you could always recommend that person that's interested and train them. You know, that's up to you. We got people and we just bring them. So that's how that would work in terms of the meeting.
For background, Ken was on the board for Cheshire TV for 10 years.
Oh, really?
20 years.
A long time.
Okay, so you
Felt like an eternity, right?
Yeah, it sure did. But I guess, you know, I'm not trying to talk in circles here, but by the same token, I want to make sure that there's no connection, underlined 3-4 times, between what you're proposing and the existence of people that were connected with Cheshire TV.
Oh, yeah, Cheshire TV. Yeah, I really don't know all the players in Cheshire TV, but if they're covering Swansea, it doesn't have to be. I mean, I have already freelancers from Bellas Falls here. I'd like to try to find someone to keep, but I don't know if I can just say, do you work for?
Well,
What do you?
Yeah, the problem that has been, what's the guy's name from?
Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, Kirkpatrick. These are people that I left with a real bad sour taste in. Okay?
Yeah.
And so consequently, I don't want anything to do with Kirkpatrick. I don't want anything to do with Lee
Perkins.
or whatever,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, I mean-
That's gonna be the stamp of death. What you're proposing.
I don't.
They were board
No.
members.
Employees,
So,
consultants. or-
Yeah, I actually haven't had any well, you were on the board, I mean, we really never really communicated. Falls Area Community Television never really communicated with Cheshire TV. Over the years,
Because I can see Kirkpatrick chafing at the bit to get back into this,
Could be.
okay? You know, Lee Perkins is hands off, but hands on with his camper. You know, he can be in Florida, or he can be in Winchester. You know, so again, these are things that if I'm gonna make the recommendation to this board, or you know, that we sign on. You know, you've got to show us the fact that there is not going to be any connection between your group and Cheshire.
yeah,
Yeah, and we talked about some of those, things we had encountered in the past and some, the different atmosphere, and it's much different than what you're.
Yeah, I was
looking
kind
at.
of flabbergasted, but. Yeah, there's no relation to that. And they couldn't, I mean, public access in Vermont's different, but we have our own board in our service area. And the reason why we're doing this contract with the city, just the city of Keene, and doing it this way is originally the idea was to include residents from Keene onto our board as Falls Area Community Television. But the concern for me was precisely that, I have a service area that was already, since 1998 was already defined. And I didn't want outside actors that were angry about us coming in and mucking up what we had over there. So a contract
Versus
relationship,
expanding the
a
board.
freelance contract, like we're Falls Area, you're just contracting us. Then that way I'm protecting the board, and then I'm also protecting, whatever way, if Keene decides to have an advisory board, they can, but it only pertains to what's, what we're doing in Keene. And it's the same thing here. If you decide to have an advisory board or the select board, you're gonna get the budget, a report separately. You'll get numbers that we have to file, like how much outreach have you done in Swansea? This is how many events that we've done per year. This is how many people from Swansea have come in and utilized the station, and so you'll get your own report. Keene will get their own report. So that's how we're kind of trying to work it, just so that we're on the same page.
Yeah, and that'll be a far cry from what information we got before, which was they came to deliberative session and the budget hearing, and
Yeah,
that was pretty much
about
it.
it.
for most of it. We'd get a report, maybe halfway through the following year, and
Yeah.
we talked about the budget, but
As Sly mentioned, coverage of our meetings, I think would be very beneficial to the town. I realize that some of us have got to clean up our language.
he tells fewer jokes than he used to.
Beverly.
But anyway, no, but seriously,
Okay.
and that was discussed with the station manager, with Cheshire, over the years.
They had a million reasons why it couldn't be done.
Oh, God, yeah. And so it sounds to me that your approach is kind of refreshing.
Yeah, no, covering the meeting is kind of the easiest part. But yes. For me, that's the key thing, is to make sure that you guys are taken care of on your meetings,
Yeah.
especially if you're contributing. And the other biggest goal that I would say is outreach. So getting to know the community and making sure that we're covering these major events. You guys give us a call too, you pick up the phone, hey man, we got this event going on. So that we can get somebody out there to cover the event. That's what community access is for. Find out what's going on in your community, So those are the two biggest goals for the year, for signing the contract for me, both in Keene and in Swansea. It's basically just getting a footing in and making sure that we're covering those major things that happen in the communities, and sort of starting those relationships with the community organizations. So
Kind of refreshing to hear him speak.
That's why he's here. So we okay moving forward to having Alex put together a proposal for more specific for what we'd be looking at?
yeah,
It's like you're getting nods. Keep going.
cool.
On to the next step.
The only question I have, you had me until you said there was essentially no income to your organization.
Oh, well, this.
And I want to make sure that that's not actually.
Yeah, I didn't
correct.
mean it in we're not making a profit, but there is income for me to pay for my time. setting
Right,
this
but
up.
I would prefer to see that you're making a profit, because there's a little more incentive. Plus, we're all capitalists here, or most of
I
us
hear you.
are. So you're right, Sly, I should speak for myself. I am a capitalist. And,
So, I
but I
mean, so
think
am I.
I'd want you to be successful, and part of the profit, of course, some of that would go back into the business and
Yeah.
allow you to retool and all of that.
So, yeah, I guess I do, and I actually have another board member that says the same thing, we're nonprofit. but-
I'm not volunteering for your board.
No, but I mean, you know, it's.
You've already been appointed.
Same thing. I mean, you're a nonprofit, but you want to make money.
Would it be
You wanna
okay
make
if they
money. The
operated
organization
like
needs
the
to last, needs to have money to be able to weather, you know, to weather ups and downs and stuff like that, and you want to be successful, to be able to move forward on new projects like that, so. Yeah, I mean, the things that I had budgeted in, I mean, they're covering sort of the cost of sort of, you know, covering things for me coming in, setting up, getting Cheshire TV on, you know, training up folks, you know, letting them know what the vision is, and, you know, hey, you know, this is what we want, you know, this is how we want to run a public access center. These are the relationships that you need to build up. These are the places that you need to contact, you know, that type of thing, the training, getting the distribution, the network, streaming set up and ready to go. So that's been budgeted in, and where it falls our community television to make a little extra money on that. And for website and stuff like that. We have a reserve fund that we hold is about 20, fluctuates between $30,000 to $40,000, which gives us for our operating budget. That's the other thing, a little extra money for a reserve fund, a percentage is what we need to put in there. But for our budget gives us about 6 months of operating costs for us. So we're very astute. We got a lot of money in the bank that we you know, that we utilize from time to time. But yeah, I do agree. We are, you know, I mean, the main goal is to get things set up and so that it's self-sufficient, that it's running itself, that it has a reserve, you know, reserve funds that it can operate, that we can make moves like this. I mean, that's the reason I'm able to make moves and spend a little bit of time doing this and getting this set up is, you know, because we have the funds, we have a reserve fund, you know what I mean?
Part of where I'm coming from is what the town people, the subscribers, what they gave to the then Cheshire TV was substantially more than what we're talking about, and we had no coverage.
Yeah.
So you're talking about giving us coverage for significantly less than what was being contributed before.
Yeah, we gotta do.
Hey, don't cut off my negotiations.
But, right,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Michael, you should have cued me, Michael. But I also think Michael could reach out to the school district, and, you know, there may be an opportunity for them to participate. Because while we're the primary town, there's 4 other towns that are part of it, and they may benefit as well. So just by coming to Swansea, you could pick up 2 entities where you previously just had we just had the one. Also Jody Turner, she may be somebody that would be very interested in getting back on air.
Okay.
Any reference to Cheshire TV that's removed would be welcome.
Okay.
If we never heard that phrase again.
Yeah, I get
think
it.
would be
We're good. That's why it's called
beneficial.
false area.
And then my other question was the 86,000, is that for 6 months for Keene, or is that for a year?
That's the yearly budget that I budgeted in for two. Basically, that's 2. I mean, that's what I can do it for. Try to keep it within. Originally, I was thinking just Keene, so I kept that budget with what I was thinking Keene was able to do. That's what I proposed to them. So that's what you saw. And that can cover Swansea also, which is not a problem, because we maybe a little bit more, but I would have to work out your proposal, see what the needs are, because I'm suddenly sort of like combining more towns and more services in there. I just gave the Keene proposal as an example of, you know, this is what Keene's doing, and then, you know, we can, you know, this is what we need to make up, and this is what we can provide for that. So I'm going to send you a separate proposal, and then we'll highlight everything that what your needs are, and then we'll provide. So it is a little confusing now. I just
Well, for me, I just want to be sure it's sustainable.
Yeah.
That if we lock in with you, this is great hope. I totally agree with Ken. It's very refreshing, it's encouraging, it's exciting.
Yeah.
But the numbers that you're proposing are substantially less for both communities than what was spent previously.
Yeah,
And that's your business. But again, we want to make sure that it's repetitive and sustainable.
yeah, it is less, and then one of the reasons is equipment, I'm not factoring any equipment purchases at all in the year. Now, I can factor in equipment purchases later, but that's one of the biggest things is equipment purchases, and we are kind of, we don't have 2 full-time employees, we have 1 full-time employee and 1 part-time. That would increase if you wanted to, we make 2 full-time employees, but one of them is an outreach coordinator, one of them is making sure either covering Swansea, making sure that they have someone in Swansea, making sure, that's the important position, definitely for Swansea, to make sure that we have someone here that's making the phone calls, getting people to come in to the station, talking to someone that might be interested in Swansea to do a television show. That's what I had to do. I mean, one good television show, we have a show called The Feed, which basically it's like an event show, news and event show, which basically we got 2 people come in to do a show where they talk about all the community events that come in. That one show brings in 50 community organizations, different artists, community organizations a year. They do a show a week. So every week they have a different organization pitching something. So all you need is one person, one committed person to want to do one show like that. And you're promoting and to be consistent about it. And then that's part of the job of the outreach committee. It's kind of like go out there and highlight and get people to come on board and do a show. So I think that's important. I mean, that budget there was, that's 2 of the biggest things, the equipment purchases and having just 1 full-time employee and a part-time employee. I would like to have 2 full-time employees, but that would be up to the town of Swansea, in Keene, but that would basically, be enough to cover Swansea and Keene. And then there is a certain amount budgeted, it's $4 grand budgeted for freelance production crews. And that could always be raised because that's to send somebody out, pay somebody $100 to go cover, the parade that's going on, whatever parade is going on. Or if some organization calls up and they need production services in their community, nonprofit community organization or government organization. And, we either subsidize the cost of the production or we pay for it just because it's a valued community event. So those are the 3 biggest numbers there that would offer more, more services and so on and so forth, especially in our area. That's kind of how I look at it. Yeah.
Yes, you've done it all. You've.
On to the next step.
Yeah. Next step.
So
We look forward to a proposal.
cool. Excellent.
What about, you can answer this in 3 words or less.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
How about, no, that's all right. How about the equipment that Cheshire TV had?
Yeah, so I did talk to Keene. I guess you guys didn't have any sort of actual contract agreement, so I guess Keene owns all the equipment. I don't know. I don't want to get,
Okay.
but that's what Keene told me. I said, well, what, Cheshire was paying all this money, so what happened? I guess you guys didn't have a specific, I don't know what your contract was with them before. Again, though, I mean, technically, Keene's responsible for the equipment there, but I mean, you guys definitely, over the years contributed.
Well,
Was one of
they had the equipment because.
Possession is 9 tenths of the law.
Yeah.
No, but because they were broadcasting committee meetings and all that sort of thing. And they had a setup at City Hall as well as the equipment at the library. But I'm just saying to you, was there a raid on the
Oh,
equipment?
no, there wasn't.
That Cheshire TV had or thought they had or whatever. So there's still the equipment there that was there at the time that was dispensed.
Yeah, I went in, I did a tour of what they had for equipment, and so everything's there.
Okay,
They have, the Keen has everything, so it's all there.
okay.
Which is kind of the reduction of the cost. We don't, the equipment aspect, we don't have to manage,
Yeah.
manage.
For now, anyway.
For now, I mean,
Troy might be a good connection for you. They broadcast their meetings and have pretty significant participation.
great, yeah. Have they ever been participating in public access before? Or
I don't know, we know about Marlboro, Swansea, and Keene.
Gilsum's on the selectmen. They're on the channel.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I don't know how that
Hmm.
happens, but maybe
they just
Ken does.
send it. You can send it.
It's on 1300 or what, before Cheshire TV went away.
Well, I wasn't aware of Gilson's involvement, period. So,
We can get you Troy's contact information.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Build you an empire whether you want it or not.
Hey, you took over the whole state of New Hampshire,
There
Alex.
you
What
go.
happened? Well, it wasn't supposed to be like this. There was a need in New Hampshire, I guess, right? So,
Certainly in Cheshire County.
yeah, in Cheshire County. So,
If you
No,
could-
we've admired, I think it was either Putney or Brattleboro. It seems like Vermont does a much better job. I know that's not even necessarily your service area, but even just producing some of their Zoom meetings and stuff. So we're glad to see you coming. because it's
Yeah,
definitely a
in
different
Vermont,
level.
yeah, Vermont's been lucky because, well, the franchise fees goes directly to an authorized management organization, which would be Falls Area Community TV or BCTV. It doesn't go to the municipality. So, so yes, it has been, the public access centers have a little bit more stronger support. It's not that over the years, and we have a strong, we just have a strong organization that represents us in the state of Vermont that we paid. So yeah, those are the reasons why.
Good lobbyists.
Yes, we have good lobbyists that make sure that people are aware of what we do. So,
Well, thanks, Alex.
absolutely.
We look
Thank you.
forward to seeing the
Nice meeting you.
proposal. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming in.
definitely, and it was good to hear from you guys and hear what you're thinking, and I appreciate that. And I'll talk to Michael more and I'll get you something going for you guys to take a look at. When do you guys meet up?
More or less every other week, more or less.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
All righty.
Take care.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
In the summer, the rest of the year. it's every week.
3 times a week.
Yeah. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Fire detail rates.
Make the
Modest,
motion.
yeah, go for it. Modest adjustment.
Do you need a motion or consensus?
I got the motion here and authorize the updated fire detail rates as proposed by the staff effective 6/20.
Motion made.
second,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
That's a good opportunity just to remind, I think I've told all of you different points, but the concerts are back this weekend, so
Yeah.
Friday and Saturday. There is camping, so that's a different dynamic. We'll see how.
They
that
have a
goes.
midnight silent disco.
Silent disco, yeah.
We'll see.
So bad is just a little
I
bit
don't-
on my side.
I don't know what silent disco is, but it ends up being morning yoga. So,
I think it's like everyone gets headphones
oh, is that it?
and like a DJ like
Yeah.
Bluetooth through the headphones.
For them.
We'll see how the noise carries overnight, as far as just people talking and being there, like,
Mm.
I think we had a brief meeting with them yesterday, and they said they've sold 400 sites,
Nice.
which is like anywhere from 1 to 6 people at a site.
Wow.
Well, it could be like 1,500 people
The new town of
overnight.
East Swansea,
We'll
East
see.
Swansea Village, Lost Village.
How many tickets have they sold?
They really wouldn't solidify a good number. They said, at first they said 3,000, 3,500, but then later in the meeting, they were like, that's what we're that's what we're estimating to sell. So I think they're under that. They could sell 6,000, so they're about half of
That's
what
what they're
they,
approved for.
yes, and that's what they were aiming for. So they're about half-ish. I think it's a little under half, but that's.
At about $72 a ticket.
I didn't even look at how much,
That's
it's
what
all
the
like,
paper said.
like level packaging, you have to pay for camping separate, you have to pay for parking separate, things like that, so. Yeah, in total, I don't know what it is.
Traffic control center.
We did talk about that at the meeting, they did do 95% of their parking passes are gonna be already purchased
Good.
online, and it's just a scan.
Yeah.
And they're planning on stacking 3 rows, they have 3 gates for entrancing, that's not a word, for entering. So I think the traffic, and they have shuttle buses for off.
Yeah, they're doing off-site parking kind of next to Sarah's Windsock Garden over across from the airport. So
Well,
we're gonna have, I don't know if it's already out there, but Joe's gonna put the signboard out there just to let people know there's gonna be activity where people aren't used to seeing.
Maybe it'll help
activity.
the Priya place next door.
Could be. Stop off for a
Get a nice. cream
Ferris
place and-
wheel ride while you're waiting for the bus to come back.
Yeah, that'd be great to help them out.
Could be, yeah, could be a good benefit. I didn't think about it.
Sell a town-owned carpenter lot, we've already done that, right?
John did a hell of a job getting
Yeah.
96,100.
Great job.
Mr. Bruce Beach.
Good job.
need a motion, or
Sure.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. See in a butter or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Chesterfield.
Excellent.
And you.
Yes, yeah, and he and the trustees are looking forward to trying to close on both these before the end of the quarter next week, so. He's ready and soon we'll be ready, so.
Transfer of town-owned carpenter lot on Semino Lane.
So that's for the appraised price of 455,000. Good thing we didn't put that on municipal.
I'll make the motion.
So, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sale of DPW lawnmower. Why are we discussing this? Not done. Oh, did it come out? Did it finish yesterday?
Yeah, it was actually Monday, I don't, yeah.
Shortly after
26.
packet time.
How'd we do?
What did we get?
2,600, I think.
2,600?
Did you end up putting those in here?
I did, well, just the
For
like
16-year-old
invoice.
mower.
It should have paid.
2,600,
Does
yep.
that, does that mean that we really didn't need a new one?
It was broken, there was a decking that,
No, I understand.
Means Angel will buy
We need a
anything.
motion on that.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to sell it for the high bid, 2,600, was it?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So this next one, the request to consider the veterans credit application received after deadline, was it really due to the fact that he tried ahead of the deadline, but due to backups in DC or wherever?
That was several years he's been trying, right?
That's what he said, yeah.
Actually, we filed today. I've been waiting a year for mine,
For your DD 214.
so it takes a long time. There's 226 initial claims back, 1,000. Backed up, appeals 190,000. And if you go to the third level, the courts, it's 7 to 8 years.
Hmm.
So there's a big issue there.
But he initiated this prior
Yes,
to.
he's come in a few times,
Yeah.
so.
All right,
You want consensus?
Yeah, consensus fine. Just didn't want to call him and ask him to fill it out and then for you to say, nope, it was past the deadline. So, yeah, consensus is fine. It'll be on an upcoming agenda.
all right. We're all in agreement on that.
Excellent.
July meeting schedule, did I see 2 weeks off in the middle?
Yeah, so, and we can tweak that if you want, but
We'll be there on the 16th, right?
due to, that's true,
Sign it.
actually, yeah, we could, yeah, there you go. The tax deeding deadline based on noticing, we were keying the 20th and then we had a little snafu, so we couldn't get the noticing out, so that's why. So either we can meet the 20th and then plan to just do that on the 27th, or, you know, at your pleasure, but that's why we had the gap.
What are we gonna have to do with,
Conversation coming back.
Oh, God, Jesus, don't bring that up.
what are we gonna need to do with regard to Josh and the public hearing he needs in order to qualify for August?
Yeah, I think, so he was looking, yeah, so maybe that's another reason to meet on the 20th, so we can do it then. Because I don't know if we got enough time to notice for the 6th.
And we could just come in and sign the accepting tax deeded the next week, or should we have a meeting that week?
You should have a meeting in case it's coming along the last minute and people are making their case, but yeah, we can do both, not a problem. Yeah, good idea. I wasn't thinking about him trying to get that in place for August.
So what do you want to do?
So we'll meet the 6th, the 20th and the 27th, but
Okay,
plan to keep this 27th just
We all
focused
set?
on the tax deed.
all right. Anything on old business?
No, I gave you a break on the personnel policy because I figured this was a long enough one this week, but we are hoping to get that wrapped up in July, so we can get that finalized before we restart budget season. Ooh, excited.
All right, so with regard to Jennifer Rhodes and Holbrook,
Yeah, that was informational at this point, just I don't remember if I provided it in here, but I did after we had that meeting. I had reached out to the gentleman with DOT and then she sent some additional correspondence, so. We're in the queue at this point.
well, it was great initiative on her part to participate.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Any non-publics?
Nope.
Michael,
Oh, all set.
Jenna,
No, okay.
anybody else?
Good job with municipal.
Excellent job.
I didn't really do anything other than answer a lot of questions.
Are you seconding the motion?
This has been made.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.